My name is Maya, and I grew up between two worlds. Until I was 12, I lived in Durham, North Carolina. After my parents' divorce, my father moved me across the country to Washington State. Overnight, everything I knew changed. My school, my friends, even the weather. I was suddenly the only black girl in an entire school, carrying the weight of my family's turmoil on my small shoulders. From my earliest memories, home was not safe. My father had a quick temper and believed control equaled love. He could be charming to others, but inside our walls his anger filled every corner. I remember watching him drag my mother outside, my baby sister still in her arms, and feeling powerless. That fear carved itself into me. When he later asked if I wanted to move with him, I said no, but he had already bought the plane ticket. My voice didn't matter. Life in Washington was supposed to be a fresh start. Instead, it felt like a performance. My father's new partner never really wanted us there. She treated her children with kindness while mine and I were always made to feel like outsiders. "Why can't you be more like them?" he'd ask. I wanted to scream, because I'm your daughter, not hers. But silence was safer. At school, I tried to blend in. I learned to smile when I wanted to cry, to shrink when I wanted to stand tall. Being the only black girl meant I was always visible but never seen. I carried myself carefully, afraid of giving anyone more reason to single me out. On the outside, I was just another teenager. On the inside, I was exhausted. By 16, I slipped into my first serious relationship. I thought I had finally found protection and love, but what I entered was another cage. At first, his jealousy looked like attention, his control like care. Slowly, it turned into manipulation and abuse. I was too young to know the difference. What I did know was that I had traded one type of fear for another. When that relationship finally ended years later, I carried away scars and a daughter who deserved better than chaos. Those were the years when survival overshadowed everything else. I lost my job, my car broke down, and I found myself without a place of my own. I slept on a friend's couch, counted coins for gas, and worried constantly about feeding my child. Desperation pushes you into corners you never imagined. When someone whispered about a way to make quick money, I listened. At first, it was supposed to be harmless. Massages for lonely men, no photos, no names, just cash. But the truth was murkier. The room smelled of alcohol and broken promises. Drinks were poured to calm my nerves, little pills offered to help me relax. That first night, I realized how easily survival can disguise itself as danger. I should have left, but fear and need kept me coming back a few times. An incident, me half unconscious, someone crossing the line, a gun being pulled, shook me awake. Fear became my exit sign. Later, I found work in a spa. It wasn't glamorous, but it was structured. Clients paid the house. We kept tips. There were rules, no full service, no drugs, and for the first time, boundaries. Among the women, there was a strange sense of sisterhood. We shared makeup, advice, even jokes, all while hiding the weight we carried. I created a work name and left Maya at the door. Inside, I was someone else, confident, detached, in control of negotiations. Ironically, in that environment, I learned how to say no with conviction. People think such work destroys you, but for me it was complicated. When I was a teenager, survival became my daily language. After my parents' divorce, I drifted between homes, never fully belonging anywhere. In Washington, I carried the label of outsider, while inside, my father's anger made the house a minefield. By the time I was 16, I thought I had found a way out. Love. Or at least what I thought love should be. My first serious relationship began like most stories you hear: smiles, promises, and the thrill of someone choosing me. After years of being unwanted baggage in my father's new life, I was desperate for attention. But what started with warmth quickly twisted into control. He wanted to know where I was, who I spoke to, why I wore what I wore. At first, it felt like protection. Soon, it felt like chains. Arguments turned to yelling. Yelling turned to bruises, not always visible, but always there. I was young, convinced that pain was proof of passion. He just loves me too much, I told myself. That lie carried me deeper into a toxic. That's when I met Ronnie. He wasn't a boyfriend, not even a friend. Just someone who offered opportunities. A couch, a drink, a whispered promise of easy money. He called it massage work, a phrase meant to make everything sound cleaner than it was. I wanted to believe him. I wanted to believe I could fix my life with a single yes. The first night I went, I told myself it was harmless. Just a room, just a client, just a transaction. But the truth was heavier. There were bottles of alcohol lined up like soldiers on a shelf. There were pills casually offered to keep you calm. I didn't recognize it then, but looking back, I see the manipulation. Keep her numb, keep her quiet, keep her working. That night blurred into fragments. A man I didn't know, a camera hidden in the corner, Ronnie's shadow watching, my body moving while my mind floated far away. When it was over, I felt nothing. Not pain, not anger, just emptiness. And emptiness can be dangerous. It can trick you into believing you have nothing left to lose. I went back a few more times. Each time I told myself it was temporary. Each time I promised myself I would quit after just one more. But his spa sat in a quiet strip center with mirrored windows and a name that promised relaxation. Inside, the lights were warm, the scent was vanilla, and the rules were clear, written on a dry erase board near the staff room. Be polite. Set boundaries. No one forces you. After the chaos with Ronnie, that last line felt like oxygen. Choice. I had been starving for it. Maddie and Victoria. The two women who ran the place were calm in the way managers at hotels are calm. Friendly smiles, efficient hands, eyes that notice everything. On my first day, they walked me through the schedule. The prices, the way to greet clients, the escape hatch hidden in policies and polite language. That's not a service I offer. I can end the session at any time. I repeated those phrases in my head like a prayer. For the first time in a long time, I felt less like prey and more like a person with a door I could close. The work itself was odd, a choreography of conversation, ambiance, and boundaries. You learn to read people by the way they step into a room, the nervous half-smile, the too loud laugh, the silence that's really grief. Some were lonely travelers who wanted a human voice to cut through the hum of airports. Some were celebrating a deal or hiding from a life that no longer fit. A few tested the rules. Most respected them once they were. Clients taught me things I hadn't expected. That power and vulnerability often live in the same person. That people carry secret weather, storms you'll never see unless you're there when the clouds break. That respect is contagious when it's modeled early and consistently. I crafted firm scripts and stuck to them. If someone pushed, I ended the session. The first time I did, my hands shook while I processed the refund. The second time, they didn't. And yet, the job worked on me in subtler ways. The constant switching, softness, charm, vigilance, exit, the attention to tone, to eyes, to doorways. Hyper-awareness followed me home. I slept with the lights on for a while. I triple-checked locks. I kept my bag packed with spare clothes just in case. Trauma has a way of keeping the body in a crouch, even when the mind insists everything is fine. The money was intoxicating. On slow days, I earned more than I'd made in a week at a retail job. On good days, I could cover a month of bills. I learned to save, to keep envelopes labeled rent, car, doctor, rain. I paid off small debts. Leaving one spa for another felt less like changing jobs and more like stepping through different versions of the same play. The sets changed, the lighting shifted, but the script of survival stayed the same. My next workplace was stricter, sharper, almost corporate in its discipline. The woman who owned it had perfected control of the staff, of the clients, of the atmosphere itself. She called herself a mentor, but her methods were built on pressure. Heels for 14 hours, smiles calibrated to exact degrees. Consistency is safety, she repeated. I nodded, though part of me wondered if it was just another kind of cage. At first, I convinced myself it was better. Structure felt like protection. Every rule was explained as a shield. The way you greeted clients, the precise order of services, even the way you sat during breaks. But after weeks, I realized the structure didn't only guard us, it consumed us. The owner treated us as interchangeable pieces, each of us required to bend ourselves into the same uniform identity. The line between being guided and being controlled blurred until I could no longer tell the difference. The clients at this place were stranger too, not dangerous, but more eccentric. Some wanted rituals so unusual they bordered on surreal. One man would arrive with props already prepared, costumes, wigs, even scripts. He wanted to be scolded, then comforted, then scolded again, like a child rehearsing a play that never ended. Another came only for silence. He paid to sit in a room with someone who wouldn't speak, the quiet itself a service. Others carried secret habits, obsessions with shoes. That question grew louder each day. I began cutting my hours, telling the owner my daughter needed me home more. It was partly true. The fuller truth was that I needed to remember who I was outside of the role I played for money. I started journaling in stolen minutes, writing down things I wanted that had nothing to do with survival. To study again, to travel somewhere quiet, to breathe without calculating cost. Each entry was a reminder that I was more than a service list or a shift schedule. Still, the spa wasn't all shadow. The other women became allies. We shared snacks and stories in the break room, swapped advice on difficult clients, and covered shifts for each other when life outside demanded attention. That solidarity was a lifeline. Trauma had taught me to expect abandonment. Here, even in the strangest of circumstances, I found fragments of sisterhood. We laughed more than you might expect, about absurd requests, about the bizarre things people pay for, about ourselves. Humor became resistance, a way of saying, we are still here, still human. Eventually, though, I knew I had to step away. My exit wasn't dramatic, no storming out, no final confrontation. Just a quiet decision made in the middle of a shift while folding towels. I realized I didn't want to be shaped by someone else's rules forever. I wanted to shape my own. I finished my week, collected my pay, and walked out with a calm I hadn't felt in years. The adjustment was brutal. In one world, I could make more in a day than leaving the spa felt like stepping off a fast train. Bills piled up, jobs paid little, but I was finally standing on my own ground. The quiet was hard at first. No fast money, no chaos. Just the reality of rebuilding from scratch. I made a list. Finish my GED, find steady work, keep therapy appointments, and give my daughter a life that wasn't built on secrets. Counseling became my lifeline. The first session, I cried the whole hour, but it broke the silence I had lived in for years. Healing wasn't instant, but each week I gained pieces of myself back. My daughter noticed too. She slept better, laughed louder, and started saying, "Mom, you're my favorite person." That was worth more than any stack of cash. Temptations came. An old client offered quick money, but I said no. That decision hurt and healed at the same time. For the first time, my peace felt more valuable than rent money. The GED class met in a back room of a library. People of all ages were there, mothers, veterans, kids who'd dropped out. I passed my first test and took a photo of the gold star my teacher gave me. It was silly, but it meant everything. For the first time, I saw proof that I could start again. Work shifted to cafe mornings and bookstore evenings. The pay was modest, but it was honest. I tracked every dollar in a notebook, started small savings envelopes, and even bought sneakers with the money I used to spend on heels. My body thanked me. Healing came in spirals, not straight lines. Smells or sounds still pulled me back into old memories. On those nights, I used the tool. I started volunteering at a women's resource center. Listening to others reminded me I wasn't alone. Everyone's timeline looked different, but the spiral always rose upward, no matter how many times we circled the same pain. Graduation day for the GED came with thrift store clothes and tears I didn't expect. When they called my name, I felt taller than my shoes could explain. My daughter taped my certificate to the fridge and said, "Now we can make lemonade." That moment was my real diploma. Slowly, new dreams grew. I took bookkeeping classes, saved for small trips, and built a realistic plan for the future. We even made it to the beach once, running into the waves with ponchos while it rained. It wasn't perfect, it was better. It was ours. People ask if I regret my past. I don't glamorize it, but I refuse to erase the woman who survived it. She learned boundaries, resilience, and how to walk away. Now those skills help me choose healthy work, safe people, and real stability. If episode 4 was the turning point, episode 5 is the rebuilding. Life now looks ordinary. Coffee in the morning, bedtime stories at night. But ordinary has become extraordinary. I can finally look in the mirror and say, "Hi, Maya," without shame. My future? College, maybe counseling. A better apartment. A life where my daughter grows up knowing love doesn't mean fear. Big dreams, small steps, but I trust both. So here's my closing line. You don't have to earn a new beginning by being perfect. You earn it by choosing again and again, even when nobody claps. One day, you'll wake up and realize peace has become your new normal. That day is closer than it feels. I'm Maya. This is my story, told on my terms.